Today on the Daniel Baldwin Show, Robert De Niro and no kings coming at you right now. Hi, and welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show. Let's get right to it with some viewer mail. This is Wally McGalliard of Tacoma, Washington writes, "Hey DB, what's with De Niro?" I know Robert De Niro went not well. He's worked with Billy. He worked with Alec a couple of times. I met him. I've actually done a show, a roast. But I met him first. When I met him was through Billy when he did Backdraft many, many years ago. And also I went to a Scorsese honorary thing for Robert De Niro was at an honorary thing for Martin Scorsese. It was a big table. I don't know how I got at the table, but I guess there was somebody didn't show up and they moved me up to this table because it was Pesci and De Niro, Scorsese, all these legendary Scorsese-ites, kind of guys. And I just kind of kept my mouth shut and I listened. These are some pretty heavy hitters. I knew my place and I did my methylene blue. And anyway, there's been a lot of movies. Raging Bull, The Godfather 2, and the list goes on of things that I admired him for. But it's obvious he doesn't like Trump. He really dislikes him, he hates him, whatever the strong words you would use to describe how he feels about Trump and his presidency. But let me read this to you. De Niro appeared on the show to discuss the recent No Kings protests that took place nationwide on Saturday and the Democratic Party's messaging strategy. The taxi driver actor largely complimented members of the party, including recently indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James for standing up against Trump. "There's something," De Niro said, "I like Hakeem Jeffries. I like Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff. They're all great, strong. I like what Letitia James is doing. She's fighting back. She's saying, F you." So, it's kind of like there's been other people that feel very, very strongly. And this is how this piece of viewer mail will blend in and become the episode that we're doing, which is entitled No Kings. So let me go ahead and move forward and tell you that No Kings protests, also known as internationally as the No Dictators or No Tyrants protests, is a series of demonstrations largely in the United States against what the organizers describe as authoritarian policies of Donald Trump and corruption in the administration. So let's just do what we do here on this show and what, the interaction I get from the audience that watches the show, my friends, my followers, my people watch this show. So there's a thing that seems to be eluding the left, eluding the Democrats, eluding the Robert De Niros of the world. And in fact, all of these no kings. Here it is. You see that? I'm going to insert that on the screen. So Haas, I have a couple of diagrams. Let me read this to you. Donald Trump became America's 47th president after mounting the most momentous comeback in political history that handed him massive disruptive power at the home and sent shockwaves around the world. 4 years after leaving Washington as a pariah, following his attempt to overturn the 2020 election to stay in office, Trump's victory defied 2 assassination attempts, 2 presidential impeachments, his criminal conviction, and many other criminal charges. That, what I showed you, was 312 electoral college votes to 226. So what you're seeing in this No Kings, these protests, very important that you understand where they're going on. So take a look at that bad boy. Take a look. Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Chicago. So you're seeing very large pockets of population. But that's a diagram right there. Take a look at that again. Take a look at that diagram again. Look at all the blue versus all the red. Now, granted, there's a lot of places in the Midwest. There's a lot of places that aren't as highly populated. But you can see the total domination, the 7 swing states. So, and these are, let me read these to you. Let's pop this document, also on the page, on the screen now. Arizona, Trump. Florida, Trump. Georgia, Trump. Iowa, Trump. Maine, Trump. Michigan, Trump. Nebraska, Harris. Nevada, Trump. New Hampshire, Harris. North Carolina, Trump. Pennsylvania, Trump. Texas, Trump. Virginia, Harris. Wisconsin, Trump. Those were all states where we weren't 100% sure where they were going to go. And of the 7, quote, swing states, as I predicted beforehand and was laughed at by members of my own family, by people that were, I had one brother say, yeah, so I suppose this political analyst and this entire network knows you know more than they do, huh, Daniel? You know more than they do. You know more than you know more. He will win every one of the swing states. He will win. He will win the election handily. He will beat her. Follow the money. Follow the money. So in all the stuff that we were handed by CNN and handed by the left, telling us how the election was going to go, that it was super, super close, I went to what was on the board in Vegas. What are people that have money betting on? And they were betting on Trump. They were betting heavily on Trump. And I thought, what do they know that and this is not a statement that's just about the left. Either side owns certain news outlets, and those outlets favor certain sides of the aisle. So, and traditionally CNN for the Democrats, Fox for the Republicans, for instance. So when you look in Vegas, when you look at what people are actually putting their cash on, those are people that don't care about what Fox or CNN says that much. They care about whether they're going to win or they're going to lose. So when I try to point out to this family member, no, the Vegas odds are you make more money if you bet on Biden right now because he's the underdog. Trump's the favorite. There's a reason for that. And sure enough, I was right, as I usually am about numbers and gambling. Trump kicked her ass. I said Biden, I meant Harris. So anyway, how does this all tie into the no protest? Well, granted, let's take a look at the total vote. Here's the total vote. Hasi, put this one up. Put that one up really quick. So let me read it to you. Harris, Democrat, 48.33%. 75,017,626 votes. Trump, Republican, 77,301,997 votes. The Electoral College was 226 for Harris, 312 for Trump. He won all 7 swing states as I predicted he would. He beat her. It was nowhere near as close as the news outlets Fox or CNN or anybody else predicted, except me, when I told you that he would win all 7. So what does this mean in what's going on right now? It was still a close election. I mean, you're talking about 77 million to 75 million. He wins by a couple million, 2,200,000 votes. In a country this size, with that many votes being cast, that's still a pretty close election. I mean, Electoral College-wise, he spanked her pretty good. But it did come down to really those, probably about 4 or 5 states really at the end, and he took them all. So that's what vaulted him, what seems to be a much larger number. But in the overall vote, the actual who got the most votes, he beat her, but it's within, 2,200,000, somewhere around there, 300,000. So that means you got 75 million people that are pissed. And they're pocketed in certain cities where Harris did well, where Biden had done well, where the Democrats do well. Los Angeles for sure, California as a whole, you can count on they're the biggest electoral college, and they go with the Democrats no matter who's running pretty much. That's the way they're gonna go. That's changing, by the way, but that's where they're gonna go. New York City, definitely gonna be a Democratic favorite. So Chicago, Democrats. So you look at where these outbreaks are happening, these protests. These aren't happening in the Midwest besides Chicago. These aren't happening all around the country. These aren't happening in Texas. These are happening in places that are Democratic strongholds. So let's take a look at the No Kings part of it. Okay, so the No Kings protests, also known as internationally as the No Dictators or No Tyrants protests. I got news for you. When we don't like what happens, as Republicans, those who sit on the right, we can protest, we can write our letters to our congressmen, we can bring attention to what it is we don't like. We don't like that the open borders with Biden and Harris, and we don't like this, but we don't have giant rallies in cities and make up a whole bunch of crap to. This guy was elected. Did you not get what I just tried to show you? The majority of the people by over 2 million, and the Electoral College, he crushed her for what was being predicted, how close it was going to be. He beat her handily. So America, in the system that we have now, has spoken. There are a lot of people that are very happy with what's going on right now. It's going to take some time to fix how absolutely disgusting and bad this has gotten. We got to knock some things down first. We've got to close off some valves to definitely stop the bleeding. We've got to put some tourniquets on some programs and stuff, because you can't just pick little within one department that handles, let's say, Medicare, and there's a whole bunch of Medicare fraud going on. We got to shut it down for a minute. For sure, that's what you're seeing right now. So what the Democrats have decided to do, because they don't have anybody right now, they're talking about Harris running next time. God, please let that be true. Let her run. Let the two of them run together. That would be so great. Harris and the other idiot. So yeah, I hope that happens. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. There's also 77 million people that voted for this. The majority, the electoral process by which we practice in this country that determines who's going to be president, has been finished. We have the president, we have the administration. So all this Schiff stuff and DeNiro stuff and Pelosi, about the same people talking the same crap, they don't speak for the majority of the people in this country. And so while you keep saying no kings, no kings, no kings, we come back and we say he's not a king, but he's an elected president. He was elected to do exactly what he's doing, to restore some order in our cities that have lost control. You know, a lot of people don't realize, let's take Chicago, for instance. There are other cities that are calling the president going, hey, if you could help us, if you could send, deploy some National Guardsmen just for a couple of months to level the playing field now. We're not talking about in Chicago whether the police department there can do their job. Those guys, those men and women are brave, brave, brave people doing a thankless job that they're not paid enough money to do. But there are areas of Chicago that are out of control right now. That I'm not talking about whether or not you feel safe having deployed National Guardsmen on street corners and so on. Yeah, trust me, you are safer with them there. Trust me. Well, that's going to bring anxiety. I don't give a shit whether your anxiety levels are up higher in Chicago. I care about the single mom who can't send her kid to the store. I care that those kids don't have healthy outdoor outlets to do. We used to play in Brooklyn. We played stickball. We played stickball on Long Island. We did, are you going to let your kid in certain areas of Chicago, in most areas of Chicago, go out at 9 o'clock at night when the lights are on and play stickball in the street like we did in the 60s and 70s? The hell you are. You know you're not going to do it. You know you're not going to do it. So is that all of Chicago? No, it's not all of Chicago. It's not all Chicago is bad. But there are some areas, if you're from Chicago, that have gotten pretty tough. It's changed, man. It's changed. We do not have control of the streets in, some pretty deep pockets of Chicago. And speaking of deep pockets, why are people so against having National Guardsmen help our police department? These policemen and women are overwhelmed with how hard a job they're doing, and they're underpaid for it. They don't have the manpower. They don't even have the right equipment to go in there and do these kinds of battles that they're doing. But they're out there slugging it out every day. So first of all, God bless them. God bless the police department, the sheriffs, the marshals, all the people that try to keep us going in Chicago. They're doing the best they can. They are. They're not slacking on the job. But what you don't know about is some of the government people involved. That, for instance, Chicago, the city itself, gets $850 million. It's 150 million short of $1 billion a year. A year in federal funding for all these different programs against violence and for policing and all that. They don't want to give up that money. They're not telling the Chicago cops this. They're not telling you, the citizen, this. They're not telling that, hey, we don't want our nest egg to go away. This is the same kind of shit that it was when Robert F. Kennedy was talking about vaccinations and started uncovering information that we went, wait a minute, really? That's what happens? Do you really get all that money to turn out this product that's actually getting them sick? And looking at how illogical and how crazy that is. So there are powers that be that make deals. So and I'm making this part up. I'm making it up just to give the example. 2 million of that 850 million comes in each year, and it goes to the Schlodwick and Schlodwick security team. No one even knows who that is. No one knows what Schlodwick and Schlodwick does. They fall under some bullshit category where guys are getting greased. That company's getting greased 2 million. Somebody else is getting 5. Somebody else, this is USAID shit. That's what this is, man. Come on. We're to supply condoms to, Rwanda, to do gay dance lessons and again, if you want to have gay dance lessons in Venezuela or whatever you want, then let a bunch of affluent gay people put up the money to do that, pursue that. Why would our federal dollars be going to that? So there's definitely a lot of waste and a lot of stuff going on. But Chicago and Chicago administrators and elected officials, they don't want that $850 million to go away. They use that money to say thank you for the election to a whole bunch of different people and companies. That's the game that's being played here. Do you not understand that that's the game being played here? That's why Chicago is adamant that they don't want a solution. There are people that don't want a solution to the crime because the crime is a business to them. There are courthouses and criminal defense lawyers and jails and prison systems that are dependent on them being able to take young African American men and locking them up and putting them in jail, which would mean that they don't get to vote, that they lose many of their rights, they fracture the family, and you're screwed. You're back to slavery times. So while they abolished slavery, they did everything they could to reenact it through the legal system, and that affects a lot of young men in Chicago and their kids and their mothers and so on and so forth. So I could go on and on and on and on and get deeper into this, but no kings. No kings. Why? Because he has the balls to do what he said he was going to do. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to make America great again. Whether you agree with that or not, you better get another 2,500,000 votes getting ready to go for Harris in 2028, or J.D. Vance will be president. So that's how we answer these problems. This protesting and continuing division and continuing all this stuff. No, this is what we wanted him to be president for. We wanted him to be president because we wanted a strong, powerful man that would do this and operate this like a business. And so that's exactly what he's doing. And so far, he's only been in since January. It hasn't even been a year yet. Where do you see what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years? Where do you see all the people's names and the proof that's going to come out? Some of your heroes on the right that you thought were these untouchable greats. And everyone keeps calling for Epstein and the Epstein files. And I told you, Epstein's not dead. Epstein's not dead. There's people that know where Epstein is. We could ask Epstein who was on the island and who did what. There's videotapes of former presidents, plural, that were on that island doing things, God knows how bad it is. So, yeah, it's all going to come. It's all going to come. Do I think that there might be some people, do I think Trump was on the island doing illegal things with youngsters? No, I don't think so. I don't think he actually and has admitted and has not been shown to be on any testifying, and testimony has come forth of people that were on the island said they never saw Donald Trump there. So, and again, I'm speculating on this. I don't know this to be a fact. Does Donald Trump have friends' names that are on that list that are in those files? He might. Would he go out of his way to try and protect people that were close to him that would suffer as a result of their name coming out? Would he go out of his way to protect people that were former presidents of the United States that everybody already knows that they were there and the things they were doing? He might. Rather than destroy someone's reputation and destroy someone's legacy, he might do something like that. But you don't know him. He's actually a far better person than most people think. They just, it's what gets amped up on this. Let me show you this again. This is funny. Here you go. Here's my favorite one. I like this one. U.S. election results, 2020 and 2024. 2020, Biden 306 to 232. Take a look. Throw that up on there, and I can keep talking. And then in 2024, it's Trump 312, Harris 2026. So Trump beat it even better than Biden beat Trump, supposedly. But you look at the states. Take a look at the states. Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Those are all the swing states. In 2024, Trump wins Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. I mean, he just turned it around. But if you look at the bottom of that, look at the red versus the blue. I mean, it's crazy. Arizona flipped, Nevada flipped, Wisconsin flipped, Michigan flipped. So what, the Republicans did something right. But even in those states, the big cities of, Milwaukee, in Pennsylvania is Philly, Georgia has Atlanta, Arizona has Tucson and Phoenix, Nevada has Las Vegas. But those are, some big cities, Milwaukee and Wisconsin. And they all flipped over to red. They all flipped red this time around. So something happened while Biden was president and Harris was vice president that this country took a look at and said, we're not going in the right direction. So we're going to vote for Trump. People, literally, when you look at the number of voters that voted in 2020, there's more voters that voted than there are voters eligible to vote. So, you want to talk about, is there any kind of misappropriation of votes that went on in 2020? Check that again. In 2016, there's less voters than in 2020. In 2024, there's less voters by tens of millions. It's like Biden got all these people that, either were voted from the grave or something happened, but I don't know. It's not tyranny. It's not kings. It's what a majority of the country voted for. We're just not screaming and hollering. Is the president perfect? No, of course not. Has he done some things I think he wishes he could go back and maybe redo? Maybe a couple. Not too many. I think it's kind of going just about the way he thought it would. And he knew it would be a tough road. And for the Schiffs and the California governors and Pelosi and, just all of them. It's just, I'm so sick of listening to your crap. Schumer, you lost. You haven't gotten over it yet. You lost. So if you wanted to try to work with the administration, if you wanted to try to work with the president, and I think I'll do the next show so you understand the shutdown, because the shutdown is a classic example of what's going on here that's total bullshit. So there have been a number of shutdowns in the past. There have been. Democratic presidents, Republican presidents, it's happened where we literally, and we've even shut down for a very short amount of time. So, and it doesn't look good, obviously, for the incumbent when it happens because it's shutting down during your watch. But there's always an emergency assembly and a quick vote to temporarily continue and fund the government. And in this case, for the first time, the Democrats said, hang on a second, we have an opportunity here to make Trump look really, really bad. So let's put, instead of, hey, the house is on fire, I vote we dump all the water on the house. Let's continue to fight that fire and control it and try to put it out. Well, not so fast. I think we should, while you're president, continue to work with each other to put the fire out. But I want you to reinstate the policy that lets these people work here, that lets these people do this, that allows illegal immigrants that have temporary status in our country to receive health care and vote. This is being done as part of the emergency necessity to vote something through to temporarily fund the government. So the Democrats have now put the gun to the proverbial head of the Republicans and said, you're not going to get this through, and we're going to stay shut down unless you give us what we want. So they're blackmailing the Republicans. They're not going to thoroughly explain that to you. They're not going to tell you some of the ridiculous conditions by which they will vote for temporary monies to go in, and we could pay our TSA people and pay some of the federally funded programs that we need to stay alive. So no, it's not the Republicans that didn't do it. It's the Democrats trying to force the Republicans' hands to play Russian roulette with policies that they want reinstated, that the president has said, those aren't going to be working anymore. We're not going to do that anymore. So, and remember something. If you think that an illegal alien comes into this country, somebody who comes in any way but the legal way, who are they going to vote for? Are they going to vote for the people that created ICE that's going to kick them and kick family members out because sadly they came in here illegally? Or are they going to vote for the people that are allowing their children to go to college for free, giving them cell phones, giving them money, giving them housing, giving them food stamps, giving them health care? We can't get that for veterans in this country. We can't get consistent care for our veterans, boys and girls that went overseas, that came back missing parts of their bodies, psychologically damaged with PTSD, which runs rampant through the armed forces. We can't get them quality care, but I can have some guy come up here from Mexico City. And I'm not even going on to the illegals that have committed crimes and people that have been raped and killed. Those are all terrible things. I'm not disallowing the attention that those things need. Just listen to this again. The quality of care for someone who illegally snuck into this country is better than a combat veteran and what they get coming back to a country that has turned their back on them. This is what members of the Democratic Party want. They want to make sure that those people from Central America, Mexico, South America, predominantly Spanish speaking, come over to this country and they're taken care of. Why? Because they're going to vote. Once you get them registered, they're going to vote Democrat. You're going to vote for the people that gave you this cushy life and gave you all this free stuff at the expense of our veterans, at the expense of people who need a hand here in America. Have you seen what downtown Los Angeles looks like now? Have you seen how horrible downtown LA is? Have you seen, I've lived in LA, I've lived in Portland, Oregon. All the nonsense that's going on, they're talking about in Portland. I have friends that are attorneys there, one family in particular I love very, very much. I love Portland. What a cool city. Portland is a shadow of what it was. It's a shadow. I'm not even sure I know what the answer to Portland is, but certainly they have the land that they could build villages outside of the city and allow people to come and give them some federal money, get them a jump start if they need to get clean, if they have an alcohol problem, let's get them some health care, let's set up some kind of, MASH units or whatever, something that makes more sense than what's going on there, because Portland looks awful. I don't even recognize the city anymore. And I wouldn't walk the streets of Portland without a firearm. I would not let my children run around this. My kids used to ride scooters around downtown, and they're only 17 and 15 now. I lived there, they were 8, 9. I would go to this one gym that I went to, and they'd be there with me and go across the street on their own. I could see them through the glass. Never worried about that in Portland. I wouldn't let them walk anywhere down the street. During the daylight, there's places I wouldn't let them walk around in Portland right now. It's unrecognizable. So why these protests? Why are they going on? Why is this no kings nonsense? Because you got to hang your hat on something. They got to hang their hat on something. They got to protest and make a stink and everything. And I think that there's powers that be that fuel this. to try to keep it going. It's early in the game too. I mean, we're not going to see another election until 28. So, but we're going to just continue to rumble and play loud to distract people too from what's coming. See, I believe too, the Democratic Party needs to fashion themselves certain members that they're these do-gooders that are going to go in there and fight the evil villain Trump and all this other nonsense. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of us going, yeah, man, go send some guardsmen into that city. That place is a shithole now. I mean, just fix it up. Get the people that you don't want down there out, put them in a place, and help the ones that want help and that need help, for sure. I'm not saying that. I'm saying get them off the streets, crapping themselves in the middle of the road and urinating all over each other and needles. And I mean, it's awful. It's awful to think. It looks like some third world country. It looks so awful down there now in LA. I'm sad. I'm sad that it's come to this. This is Gavin Newsom's progress in California. Have you seen Oakland? Have you seen San Francisco? Beautiful San Francisco. Oh my God. Ask people to live in San Francisco. It's not the same as it was 15 years ago. They don't walk around that city like they used to. It's not safe. Why would you? Why would you? So there's a lot more people that are really, really satisfied and happy to see the president using federal dollars to go in and try to clean up some of these cities that need some help. And we're actually really happy with where we're heading and what's going on. So get ready for it. They're saying that, I couldn't believe I read this today, that Kamala Harris, they're grooming her, saying she's going to be the one. They're going to come back with Kamala again. Do that, man. I want you to do that. Hopefully she's taking some speech classes and she's ready to go, because I'd love to see her run again. That would be so great. Then we got J.D. Vance for 8 years, which would be beautiful. Beautiful. Harris against Vance. I love it. I love it. Question is, who does J.D. bring in to run with him? I don't know. But that's my show for today. I wanted to touch base about this No Kings thing. It's such a crock of crap. It's really 6 or 7 cities and in the whole United States that can put together some numbers that listen to the propaganda, follow CNN, lean heavily to the left, that are making these dramatic accusations about the president, making up numbers about polls and everything else. And again, I'm going to get slammed for this. I'm going to get slammed by a lot of people. I don't care. I don't care, because I know what's true. I know what's true. And when I said, just remember something. When I said, and I'll lay another one out for you. When I said he was going to win, and he was going to win handily, he would take all 7 swing states. I had more people write to me, people on the left going, you're drinking again, Baldwin. You're doing this, Baldwin. You're the dumbest, Baldwin. Just all this other crap. And I said, okay, well, are you going to write back after he does what I said? If he only wins 6, you'd be right, and I'd be wrong. I said he will win all 7 swing states, and he did. I didn't get any emails back. I didn't get any TikTok comments or YouTube or any comments back on, wow, man, that was Nostradaniel, the great one, the great Nostradaniel has spoken again. So remember what I'm telling you this. They've been feeding us this whole thing about asteroids moving towards the planet. And we had that situation in New Jersey where the lights were up in the sky and no one could explain what it was. Why aren't we shooting them down? That was a test. That was a test run. So you will see, probably before Christmas, some type of international incident in the sky that leads us to believe, and I'm not sure how far they're going to go with it yet, that we're being visited by ships from another planet, or we're being probed or watched. Now, I will tell you that I think the whole thing is bullshit. I think that it's run and controlled by government agencies, the same ones that have control over Antarctica and that do a number of other things in this country. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna get too into it and say too much about it. Just remember, I said, they're gonna stage a visit of some type, or an extraterrestrial situation will be perpetuated on the people of the planet Earth. And that will come soon. soon. Anyway, you'll see. Anyway, so let me say, Father, we thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your protective hand over us, Lord. Our country is divided right now, Lord. There is a large number of people that are fighting the president and the administration. Many of them, the leaders of these factions, are against the president because the president has exposed them. And so now it's best to throw stones at him rather than maybe take a look at themselves and look in the mirror and try to clean up the country and clean themselves up and do the right things that need to be done to help this country rebound, because we're on the rebound right now, Lord. And we thank you, God. We thank you for all of your glory. And we thank you for all of the blessings that you bestow on us, Lord. In your name we pray, amen. So there's the show, short and sweet, about the No Kings. Listen! No Kings is bullshit. It's bullshit. It's Houdini shit. They got to get you looking over here. They got, no kings. He's a tyrant. He's this. He's overusing his power. And every single president has done similar things, and no one said shit about it because no one complained so much about somebody winning. No one complained. When Kennedy barely won, they didn't all stack up against him. I mean, there's been some really close elections in this country. You never heard this crap before until 2016 because an outsider won. An outsider that wasn't in the system, that wasn't a true Republican or a Democrat or anything. He was a business guy. And because they can't put a leash on him and control him, they'll try to shoot him before they can let him get his way, which is the way of the American people, because a majority of us voted for him and elected him. Go, baby. God bless you.